Good morning to you. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. It is Thursday, the 25th of May, 2023. And in this video, we're going to talk about this coastal low that has the Hurricane Center outlining an area off the southeast coast. It's probably going to make, as the headline says there in the thumbnail, for a lousy weekend ahead for a good deal of the southeast. It's not going to be purely tropical in nature. It's more frontal in its structure. But you know what? That's just a label or a classification. The point is here, it's going to bring rain, wind, generally bad boating conditions, and a lot of people are going to be heading to the beach this weekend for the all-important Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start of summer. So it's kind of a big deal, all right? So we want to make sure people are at least aware of it for a lot of different reasons. All right, so let's get rid of me for a second. Jump over to the Hurricane Center website. Now, it's not showing up on the two-day outlook right now because, well, nothing's expected to happen in the next 48 hours, but now that we have the 7-day outlook that started recently, and it's new for 2023, here it is. And what is it exactly? Well, it's a non-tropical area of low pressure, meaning basically that it doesn't have a warm core and other structural considerations. It's expected to form along a frontal boundary, and that's a real big key right there, the frontal boundary. Tropical systems aren't associated with fronts, okay? Off the southeast United States coast within the next day or two, it appears unlikely to become a subtropical or tropical cyclone since it's forecast to remain frontal while moving generally northward and inland over the Carolinas this weekend. Now, let's bring me back on because I want to talk to you. And just what I just read there, that's all about the structure of it, the classification of it, but the impacts are what should matter to you. And whatever it is named or called or labeled doesn't matter. It's the impacts. So what can you expect? Well, let's scroll down and look at what they talk about in the next paragraph. Regardless, the system is likely to produce gusty winds and dangerous surf and rip current conditions, and that is very, very important. Dangerous surf, rip current conditions, that's going to be over a pretty large area. That can injure people and kill people. Those dangerous surf and rip current conditions. Literally millions of people are going to be heading down to the coast between Cape Hatteras and, let's say Jacksonville, Florida. A lot of people heading down for the weekend. Yes, it's going to be lousy. Yes, it's going to be cooler than we're expecting. And yes, there's going to be this coastal low. But and the water temperatures, even though they're a little bit warmer than normal, they're still cool. So I don't know. It's just not going to be a great weekend. I wish I had better news. So let's drop me off again just so we can focus on this. That's the situation, okay? There will be impacts. Those gusty winds, periods of heavy rain, offshore water gale warnings are in effect, marine interest, people wanting to go out in the Gulf Stream, nearshore stuff. No, it's just not going to be good. So just keep that in mind, all right? Again, just bringing you the news. Sorry it's happening. I wish it was going to be better. Believe me, I was just telling my kids this morning, like, I live right here in Wilmington. I was like, this doesn't feel like Memorial Day weekend weather. It's chilly. It feels like October out there, or maybe late September, something like that. But the system's going to get organized down in this area, non-tropical in nature. It's a front that's draped through here. It's going to be attached to that, and therefore it won't be tropical or subtropical, meaning that it won't have your typical characteristics that we look for with more bundled energy and a more focused center, more spread out, big old windbag, if you will, with lots of rain. And you can see here the energy spread out over a pretty big area. And this is fairly early. I'll do another update hopefully tomorrow. I got to talk about tomorrow in a second with you. I'm traveling, and we'll discuss that. But no, it's not tropical, so it's not going to be a named storm or anything like that. But again, the impacts will still be similar. Those gusty winds, the rough conditions at the water. All right, we got to drill that into our heads. Now, the water temperatures, as I was alluding to, not particularly on the warm side. This is Celsius. So 26 Celsius, or the way I like it, about 80 Fahrenheit. That's about right here. So Georgia, and then out to the Gulf Stream, yeah, it's warm enough. But the shelf water up here near the Carolinas in particular, a little bit too cool for me. I don't know about you. But we are talking about low 70s Fahrenheit. So, go down to the beach, enjoy the views, stay out of the water unless it's just your knees or something. And seriously, watch the little kids. Little kids, I've had some over the years, I know. They are more adventuresome, I think, when it comes to cold water than us sort of adults that are, well, I don't like the cold water. That's just me. But the kids will just run out there, and as a dad here, I'm telling you got to be careful with that. Rip currents, dangerous surf can be a problem. And even avid surfers, you be careful too, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart, meaning you're my age and you still surf. You got to be careful out there. Heed those warnings. Give those lifeguards, a break. They're going to be real busy with all the extra people. Don't stress them out too much. So the water temperatures are warmer than average right through here, but not enough to really make a big difference. So yeah, it's not going to be tropical in nature, just a real nuisance. I wish I had better news, but it is what it is. All right, so this is what the GFS looks like here. We'll look at a couple different layers. This is your 6-hour average precip rate. So this just gives you an idea of what the precipitation would look like. There's the low, 1,006 millibars. Really gets going Saturday morning. Heavy rain coming ashore. The low itself comes ashore potentially near Georgetown, South Carolina. A lot of rain for the Carolinas, but look, Sunday and then into Monday, a little better, just not ideal in terms of sunny and hot and warm ocean temperatures. So it's just not the best weekend for the beach. Again, I wish I had better news, but that's the way it goes. Let's look at it at the 850 millibar level. This tells me about the structure again, spread out, not really focused, not a lot of energy right around the center there. It is dispersed over a larger area, that energy, and so it's non-tropical. That's one of the reasons. And again, that front that it's associated with and attached to non-tropical in nature, and it kind of pivots in around some more energy. This is the lower levels of the atmosphere, but it pivots in around this other piece of energy over the southeast. Just an interesting steering mechanism more than anything. And then there you go. It finally dissipates once we get toward the end of the month. All right, so again, just want to make you aware of it. Really talking about, well, what is it? We got the yellow thing out there. Does that mean there's a tropical storm coming? Well, of course, the answer is no. But again, re-emphasizing the impacts. Those are going to be there. And even as you drive down tomorrow, if you're coming down I-95 or the US 17 in the Carolinas, rain-slicked roads, that could be a problem too. So just keep this thing in mind, all right? So later today, I'm actually traveling, going to be heading out to the Great Plains. We're going to be testing Starlink. Finally got that through our crowdfunding, and it's such a wonderful thing. Really appreciate it. So we're going to test it in probably New Mexico and the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, maybe Colorado, maybe the Dakotas. We're going to be out there, some of us on our team here, CJ and hopefully Matt, and then another Matt. There's 2 Matts we work with. Anyway, we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy testing Starlink and some other LTE equipment, just making sure that we're ready for the upcoming hurricane season. And what better way to do it than out in the field and then kind of taking in nature's beauty. Yes, storms can be impactful and destructive, but that's only if they affect us directly. Otherwise, if they're out over an open field, we can all appreciate the beauty while we test and make sure we are darn ready for what could be a pretty busy hurricane season. And I'll end on that note. Why would I say that? NOAA, N-O-A-A, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, will be issuing their seasonal guidance today, and I expect that we will see a fairly high probability of an above average season. Certainly average, because the Atlantic is warmer than average. The El Nino is not screaming warm yet, and I just think that the cards are there presented in front of us that it's going to be a busier season than we were anticipating maybe 6 weeks ago. I'll talk more about that in a future update. All right, that's it from me. Let me get this online for you. As always, thanks for tuning in. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack. That's us. I'll talk to you next time around.